What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Conspiracy Corner Podcast. This is Abe, your host. Today's going to be a summer solstice special episode. I've been wanting to do, for a while with my channel, I've been wanting to do holiday specials, like Halloween specials. Maybe I'll do like paranormal episodes, something like that. Something darker. I think I did a Halloween special once, and it was on some sort of torture device. Like a St. Pat's special, maybe the story of St. Patrick, Irish legends, Irish mythology, something along those lines. Just try to find something conspiratorial or paranormal or cryptid related with certain holidays of the year. That's what I been wanting to do, but as you guys know, I've been off and on with the channel. Here lately, I've been banging them out almost every day, which I feel good. You know, for once in my life, I actually feel decent. Well, for one, because of this stuff, but yeah, I've just been in the mood to do it, and I haven't been discouraged and down in the dumps, and been wanting to do more of that type of stuff. So I'm gonna do a summer solstice episode today, because summer solstice is gonna tie in with what we're talking about. But I'm gonna roll this up so I ain't got people eavesdropping. Let me do a little update though, because I usually like to start. By the way, this is a podcast, if you didn't know. I get a lot of YouTube hate of people like, get to the point. It's like, no, it's a podcast. It's like talk radio. I sit here and just talk. If you don't like that, don't listen to a podcast. Go find another YouTuber who doesn't do podcasting. So this is just a little update in my life. I'm bummed out for two reasons. One is Aerosmith is doing their last tour called the Peace Out Tour. And they originally had a concert that was supposed to happen January of this year. But it was one of those speak of the devil moments. I was actually telling my wife, I was like, because they're playing again. September. I think it's September. They're playing in Louisville. Because my wife was like, oh, I seen someone's playing in Louisville. Someone you like. And she's like, who was it? And she's like, oh, Aerosmith. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, I was just super fucking stoked. And I was like stoked, but at the same time, I was like, honey, I'm gonna tell you now, there's no way we can afford this shit. I mean, we could afford it, but it would be spending money unwisely. Like, I'm not rich, but I'm not poor, knock on wood. I even told her, I would say, like, just to be quite honest, because for some reason people are curious on how content creators, how much money they make. For some reason, people think that conspiracy content creators, like, we make tons of money, and it's like Alex Jones does, but Alex Jones has been creating content since public broadcasting radio, since the early 90s. So no offense, he kind of deserves it. He's been doing radio since the early 90s, if not mid 90s or something. But early 90s, because he was around for the Waco siege. What year was that? But anyways, I'm not rich, but I'm not super poor neither. I do fine, but honestly, I have to work hard for this money. Like, I'm a night shift stalker. I make like $15 an hour, something along, I think 15.25 an hour. Last time I checked. But I mean, I have to, like, when I first started stacking chips, I literally had to work 6 days a week for a year and a half straight, like one day off, you know. So I mean, I earned it, not from this channel. From this channel, I've made about $30, and I already cashed in because Spotify got bought out by or Anchor got bought out. That was my sponsor. Anchor got bought out by Spotify, and Spotify doesn't pay me anymore. So I'm back to making nothing off this channel. So if you want to know the ins and out of if Abe's a grifter or not, I don't make shit from this channel. I actually put more money into it than I'll ever get back. But I was already expecting these Aerosmith tickets to be like super fucking expensive. And I already know that because this is a conspiracy channel, I already know the conspiracies around Steven Tyler. Trust me, I already know. But my thing is, I separate the art from the artist. I still love fucking Aerosmith. There's a lot of weird, shady shit surrounded by Steven Tyler, I know. I think he's goofy. I've seen his Joe Rogan interview. I still like Steven Tyler, you know. I think he's goofy. I think there probably is a lot of shadiness to him, but who am I to cast the first stone and judge, you know? But she found you could get 2 tickets behind the stage for like $90 a piece or something like that. And then she found on Ticketmaster, she found 2 tickets on the side of the stage, and it was only like $2 more per ticket. And I was like, dude, $2 more per ticket. But then, like, there's all these fees and shit. It came out to like $230. And I'm like, man, I really want to fucking get these tickets. Like, I've loved Aerosmith since I was a kid. And I had the opportunity to see them when I was a preteen. My sister-in-law was getting tickets to Aerosmith, and she had asked my mom and dad, and kind of like, I don't know the whole financial situation if my parents were going to pay for it, but she's like, she knew me and her have always been like the Aerosmith fans in the family. I actually ended up giving all my Aerosmith CDs to her, like my whole Aerosmith collection, as like a gift to her. But and I still love Aerosmith. I just think at the time I was going through like a punk phase, and I ended up getting into the Ramones and Misfits, and I was very militant punk during my teenage years of like, that's all I listened to. And even like the punks in the scene and stuff were like, oh, you listen to Aerosmith? They suck, you know? Like, all we listen to is punk, you know? I live and breathe and die punk, you know? That's silly, funny shit when you're a kid, you know? But, I'd had the opportunity when I was young. And by the way, I do shit on my parents on this channel, but I also do talk good about my parents on this channel. And I really do. I know what I've said, and I look back on episodes. Sometimes, I ain't gonna lie, as a content creator, I rewatch old episodes or re-listen to old episodes. For one, I do it to make sure that I'm not repeating myself and I'm talking about something new. If I think that I've already talked about something, I'll find the episode I think it's on and I'll re-listen to it and go, did I already talk about this, or did we already cover this? Because I don't want to be a broken record. But there are times, man, like my dad's a piece of shit, you know, but there's times, you know, I've talked good about him, you know, just been honest and come to grips with certain things, and he wasn't 100% pure evil. Did he fuck up? Yeah. You know, but a lot of it I understand. The older I've gotten, I've become more understanding and more forgiving of people. I hope you all notice that with the channel, you know, as far as like Chris Cuomo and Russell Brand. And if you look at my old shit, I was cutthroat and everyone's pedophiles, everyone's evil, everyone's Satanist, fuck them all. And the older I've gotten, I'm like, well, do we have actual evidence? Do we have proof? Maybe this is going on. Maybe this is going on. I try to be forgiving and non-judgmental and shit. But needless to say, long story short, like, my parents were like, no, Abe is not going to an Aerosmith concert. And I'll never forget, I remember, for some reason I remember this. I remember going, what, are you scared I'll get caught in a mosh pit? And they both looked at me and they're like, no, like, you're not going to get, there's no mosh pits at Aerosmith concerts. And I was like, exactly, why can't I go? And I remember being younger and like being able to read lips, obviously. And they were just kind of like, I don't know, I don't think they were whispering to each other, but I think, because this is all childhood memory, I think they did actually come out and say, like, because I was old enough to understand, they're like, no, dude, there's going to be girls there who are drunk. They're going to be flashing titties, you know. And they didn't want me to see, like, honestly, the pornographic side of a concert, which it does happen. There's drunk people there. There's weed smoking there. So they didn't want me to get a contact buzz. And honestly, like, I'm not talking shit about my parents. Like, it is, they were being responsible parents, you know. As someone who has a daughter, like, if I was in their shoes, walking a mile in their moccasins, I wouldn't want my daughter going to see, like, it wouldn't be Aerosmith, but if she wanted to go see, I don't know, Rammstein. I don't know why I chose them. That's so random. But if she wanted to go see Rammstein with her friends, I'd be like, no. But I think at the same time, though, I think I would want to go with her, honestly, because I love Rammstein. So they could have done that, because I would have went with Joseph and Nikki. Damn, I try not to say their names. I'm sorry. I try not to say their names, but I would have went with them. So, I mean, they would have been watching and shit, but I don't know. It bums me out because I missed the chance to see them when I was younger, because I would have loved to have already seen them and already got it out of my system, because I'm the type of person who doesn't want to see something twice. I like to go to brand new places and experience brand new things. I'm not the type of guy who likes to do the same thing all the time. Needless to say, the only reason, because $230 really isn't that much, but I have to be a responsible adult and go, well, I could pull it off if I'd worked like 4 shifts. 4 overtime shifts would pay off the Aerosmith tickets. But sadly, I have a 97 Pontiac and my car's getting old, and it's acting weird and funky. I think I got bad gasoline. I don't know if it's that. I'm hoping it straightens out because I put in some gas treatment and some fresh gas, but needless to say, I probably have to put my car in the shop. And I'm like shaking my fist at the heavens going, why, God, why can't you let me have this fun and experience life? And then God's looking down like, this is your punishment, you know? So most likely I'm going to end up missing this Aerosmith concert, and it bums me the fuck out. But that's it. I'll leave that as the opener. Sorry it took so long, but I hope it was enjoyable. Like I said, if you're not tuning in to just chill and listen, then I don't know what to tell you. Let's get into conspiracy, ladies and gents. Today we are covering, let me get out my little handy dandy notebook. I ain't gonna lie, dude, my little brother was a huge Blue's Clues fan, and he actually had a handy dandy notebook with the crayon that guy from Blue's Clues had. What was his name? I forget his name. Tell me in the comments. Today is the special episode for summer solstice. Let me find this. Let me pause this so that way there's not dead air. Alright, so I was going to have more to talk about during that intro, but I'm not going to get into it because I've already killed like 16 minutes. I apologize. It might be a longer episode. Summer solstice. The reason I bring this up, it's the special episode for the holiday. It's a witch holiday. I do want to say I have covered astrological areas in the past. I've never covered Stonehenge, so technically this is my first episode ever covering Stonehenge. I would like to do a deep dive on how it's not the original Stonehenge. There's a conspiracy behind it. I want to do a deep dive on Stonehenge in general. There's a conspiracy behind Stonehenge that it's not even the original stones, that the original ones are in a bunker somewhere. There's also another conspiracy that the stones are actually fingers of a Nephilim, petrified fingers, which, hey, that's cool. We'll get into that on the Stonehenge episode. There's a lot of conspiracies around Stonehenge, and they also moved it, which is, quite frankly, retarded. Sorry, someone's blasting radio. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. The reason why Stonehenge is coming up is there's been a lot of focus on Stonehenge lately because it is an astrological site. And during the summer solstice, they always have a festival type of ordeal. Everyone celebrates the summer solstice at Stonehenge because it lines up astrologically. And so usually you'll see like druids and stuff, like actual druids, people who live like druids, and that's their religion. And they go out there. So a lot of focus has been brought onto Stonehenge here lately because of the summer solstice. And because of that, Just Stop Oil went out there and threw paint all over Stonehenge. Now, I think this is fucking disgusting. I hate Just Stop Oil. And I've never covered them before. I've always wanted to because I see how disgusting they are. And I've wanted to cover the disgusting shit they've done in the past. And maybe we'll do a deep dive on Just Stop Oil, like an actual episode just talking about them in the future. But they've destroyed like famous paintings. They'll go into art museums and just throw paint or SpaghettiOs onto famous paintings. These are the assholes that glue themselves to the streets and have to get ripped off and go to the hospital. One guy, I don't remember if he actually lost his hand, but they were worried that he was going to lose his hand because he cemented himself into the road. There's videos of people beating the fuck out of them, which I love watching because they're assholes. So this is Just Stop Oil. They're pieces of shit. They're like liberal fucking woke retards who worship Greta Thunberg as a saint. And the sad thing is they do actually mean well. They buy into the whole global warming, climate change bullshit, which I'm a conspiracy theorist. I don't buy into that. I think it's a fucking scam. It ties in exactly with the Great Reset. It ties in exactly with what William Cooper predicted. William Cooper, man, the king of conspiracy. I would say he's the greatest conspiracy radio personality ever. Ever. He has the crown, dude. And I think when he died, it probably got passed down to Alex Jones, I would say. That's my personal opinion. But he predicted it, man. All back in the 90s, he predicted that they're going to use global warming. I think he used the word global warming because that's what it was called back then. Let me show you how old I am. I remember when it was called global warming. Now it's called climate change. And before global warming, Spock from Star Trek, I kid you not, was making documentaries about how there was going to be an ice age. So before global warming, they literally said there was going to be an ice age. That didn't happen. Then they said global warming. That didn't happen. Now they say it's just climate change, which climate changes naturally. That's literally, it makes no sense. Like, yeah, climate change. Climate changes. We've had climate change here in Kentucky for a minute now. We've had a heat wave, and then we've had thunderstorms and rain. Climate change. And it's like, yeah, that's part of Earth is going to do its natural cycles and shit. And I might do a deep dive episode. I know I keep saying I'm going to do a deep dive on this, deep dive on this, deep dive on this, deep dive on this, but all conspiracy is like a web and it all connects. And everything is a conspiracy. I used to not believe that, but the older I've gotten, everything's connected. But yeah, so these people actually fell for the propaganda of climate change and all this bullshit, not knowing that, and they might be dumb enough that they actually know what the Great Reset entails. Of basically, COVID was a dry run. They wanted to see, will people put themselves on house arrest? What they want is you living in a pod, never going out, staying home, 15-minute cities, everyone rides bikes or walks. You never leave your city. You never leave your pod. You're never allowed to travel again because we're destroying the world with our gasoline and shit. Even though that there's been alternatives like cars that run on water, cars that run on old cooking oil, cars that run on electricity. They've had the electric car since like back in like the 1920s or 30s. Maybe we'll get into that on an episode. Just Google it if you're bored. They've had electric vehicles like since then, since the dawn of the car. Since cars were invented, they had gas and electric. So for them to act like we never had that shit and they figured out, oh, we figured out how to make an electric car. No, it was already made since the dawn of cars. They called it the electric carriage. And that ties in with Tartaria. And was there great resets before? Was there a mud flood? Was there a rewriting of history? That's a whole nother rabbit hole. So yeah, they threw paint on Stonehenge, which I think is disgusting. And I think that Just Stop Oil is obviously controlled by the elites. I have a theory. I can't prove it. Maybe one day I'm going to do a deep dive and actually look up who runs Just Stop Oil, who's funding it. And if you know in the comments or you're listening and you know, hit me up, dude. Teach me. Because I've never actually done a deep dive on Just Stop Oil. I should probably research it, you know. But I suspect that they're run by some sort of elites like Soros or Klaus Schwab or World Economic Forum. Someone evil is pulling the strings. But I think it's going to backfire. Because I think that they thought that people were going to eat this shit up. I think that they thought that people were going to eat up the whole concept of climate change. And they did. But I think that a lot of people woke up within these past 4 years. I'd say about 4 years. A lot of people fucking woke up and were red-pilled. And I think they underestimated that. I don't think they were going to realize that this is like literally, I hate to sound like a Q-tard, but I truly believe we're in the Great Awakening. And that people aren't buying climate change like they bought it before. Check-in time. And I think it's going to backfire because I don't know anyone who likes Just Stop Oil. I really don't. As far as I've seen, everyone fucking hates them because their tactics are so extreme as far as like destroying old art, destroying historical ancient sites like Stonehenge. And I think it backfired on them. I think that they think that people were going to eat it up and be like, yeah, you know, like, let's stop oil. Let's destroy the past. And it's almost two birds, one stone. It kind of ties in with like 1984 of like rewriting history and getting rid of the old, disgusting, racist, patriarchal, conservative history of the past. Destroy the past. Destroy books. Destroy ancient sites. Destroy history. To sum it up quickly. Let's destroy history. So it kind of accomplishes that two birds, one stone of them destroying old art, them destroying ancient sites. Which reminds me of what's going on with Göbekli Tepe. I'm going to do a whole episode on it because it's disgusting. My brother sent me a video about what's going on over there. It's shady as fuck. And it was first brought to my attention, not by my brother. I still love my brother, and thank you for sending me that. It actually ties in with that. But it was first brought to my attention listening to Graham Hancock talk about them putting a roof over Göbekli Tepe, and I'll do a whole episode on it, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but the World Economic Forum was behind it. So it would not surprise me if the World Economic Forum is also behind Just Stop Oil. And the vandalism of Stonehenge. Like I said, this is all conspiracy. This is all alleged. This is just my thoughts on. I need to look deeper into it. But these are just my theories on what's going on. And I wanted to report on it of what they did to Stonehenge here recently. It's disgusting. But they also fucked up Taylor Swift's plane. Just Stop Oil did. They fucked up Taylor Swift's plane. So now we're going to stop talking about Stonehenge. And we're going to get into what they did to Taylor Swift's plane. But before we get into Taylor Swift, let me make one real quick plug. Because it's the summer solstice special episode, I did an episode on Serpent Mound. And I actually visited there, so if you're watching my channel, type in Serpent Mound if you're on YouTube, and you can watch. We actually, I think I put out a video of pictures of me of a slideshow or something of all the pictures we took at Serpent Mound. But there should be a video of us visiting it and our thoughts on it and shit. But there's a whole podcast episode dedicated just to Serpent Mound. And the reason why I bring it up is because this is the summer solstice special episode, and Serpent Mound lines up with astrological points. And just like Stonehenge, they actually celebrate summer solstice there too. It's more of a Native American theme instead of Druids and stuff, because it's a Native American mound. But it gets into astrology and summer solstice, winter solstice. It lines up astrologically, and their theory is that it was built as an astrological clock, just like Stonehenge. So go check that episode out if you want to do a deep dive on Serpent Mound. But let's get into Taylor Swift. So, Just Stop Oil recently also threw paint on Taylor Swift's planes. Now, there's quite a bit of conspiracy around Taylor Swift in general, and let's have fun. Today's a special episode. Let's go deep. Let's get past the 30-minute mark, and we'll make this one a little longer. There's a whole conspiracy around Taylor Swift and jet planes in general. So it all starts with the conspiracy community questioning, is Taylor Swift a psyop? And what do they mean by that? Because that is a weird question of how can a person be a psyop? Is the U.S. government using Taylor Swift as propaganda, as a psyop on the American people? I truly do believe that they are. And this has been the conspiracy community questioning that, of if she's a psyop or not. And so much to the point that the Pentagon came out and literally made a statement of, no, the Pentagon is not working with Taylor Swift. The U.S. government's not working with Taylor Swift. Don't look here, nothing to see here. It's all in your head. And this cracks me up because they did this just here recently on, what was it, the Prime Minister of Iran getting mysteriously killed in a helicopter. Was it a crash or was it shot down? I can't remember. That whole thing was shady. I was actually going to cover it in an episode, but you guys see my shit. Like, pages within pages of... I'm like 15 episodes behind. I can't cover it all. I just don't have enough time in the day. If this was my full-time job, then I would cover it all every day, all day. I just can't get to it all, man. I'm not Alex Jones. I have to go to work. I have to sleep. I have to eat. You know, I have shit to do. But when that prime minister died, it reminded me of two things. Well, it reminded me of one thing, which was, I don't remember who said it, but there was some high up, like general or something, that handed down paperwork. And this was after 9/11. They handed down, or it might have been right before 9/11, actually. I think it was right before 9/11. They handed paperwork to somebody, and you'll have to look it up. I cannot remember the names. It's famous, though. It's famous because of this one phrase the guy used. He said, we're going to go to war with Afghanistan. Actually, I think it was right after 9/11. He said, we're going to war with Afghanistan. And the guy said, okay, that makes sense because Al-Qaeda, bin Laden was all connected with Afghanistan. And then he said, we're going to war with Iraq next. And the guy was like, wait, Iraq? What do they have to do with Afghanistan and Al-Qaeda? And he said, nothing, but we'll trick the people into letting us go to war with Iraq next. And then he said there's going to be like 3 other places that they were going to war with. And one of them was Iran. I cannot remember the other two, but one of them was Iran. And he said, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I remember that phrase. So type that in. You can find the footage. When you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And they had already predicted the next like 3 wars. And as soon as that Iran prime minister died, I was like, first of all, that's shady as fuck. And 2, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. That's what I said. That was like the first words out of my mouth, because I remembered that meeting between those high up military leaders of, we're going to war with Iran. It's just what I think. That's the evidence I know. Make your own decisions. I think they're trying to go to war with Iran. And I think that probably the CIA probably fucking killed that man, because they use the same playbook. They've done this a billion fucking times of killing world leaders, and then the CIA kills the world leader and then reinstates who they want in power after we destabilize their government. Good job, America. We are Darth Vader. We are the Empire. Now, why would you say this ties in with Taylor Swift? Because the Pentagon did the exact same thing with Taylor Swift of, we're not using her as a psyop. And they literally said, we had nothing to do with the prime minister's death of Iran. And to me, it reminds me of like almost like a little kid. Like, how stupid do you think we are? That sounds like something my daughter would have done when she was like 3 years old. Of like, hey Stella, how are you? I'm good, Dad. I did not take any candy. I did not take any candy. Well, I didn't ask if you took any candy. Now you're making me think you took candy. I didn't take any candy. I didn't take any candy. Stella Sue, no one said anything about candy. You're incriminating yourself. At least if you're going to lie, lie good and don't even bring it up. That's what the government did, though. We had nothing to do with the prime minister of Iran dying. Well, no one said you did. But now it makes me look at you under a microscope or a magnifying glass going, sounds like you had something to do with the prime minister of Iran dying. And they did the same thing with Taylor Swift. We're not using her as an agent. She's not a CIA. She's not a psychological operation on the American people. No one asked. No one said anything. So why did you address it? Preemptively addressing shit. That's why I bring up the whole president of Iran dying, because it's like, that's like twice within this year the Pentagon has come out with statements of, we didn't do it, we didn't do it. Well, no one said you did, and now it looks fishy as fuck. Now we all think you did have something to do with it. I'm spitting fire, baby. So, Taylor Swift. There's a whole nother conspiracy too. Let's get into this. We're just going to go conspiracy, conspiracy, conspiracy. This is a fire episode. If you guys don't like this, I don't know what to tell you. Because we're doing conspiracy after conspiracy, man. I'm going deep, homeboy. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, share it with people. I think I'm dropping bombs. The other conspiracy with Taylor Swift. So there's a theory that, I forget the actual name of what they call it, but in hillbilly terms, there are campaigns to muddy the waters when you Google search something. So with like Walt Disney, there's a theory that Walt Disney froze his head to be revived, because I guess he was a futurist, to be revived when we had the technology to transplant his head onto a body and revive him from death, which is kind of cool. But there's a conspiracy that Walt Disney froze his head. So there's a theory, a conspiracy theory, that they made the movie Frozen. So when you Google Walt Disney Frozen or Disney Frozen, that's the first thing that pops up, is the movie Frozen, which is smart as fuck. So there's a theory, because Taylor Swift was getting a lot of shit for talking about climate change and being a psyop, basically, specifically climate change, that people were noticing how much she flies her jet and how horrible that is for the environment, in their words, you know, so that people were calling her out. So there's a conspiracy that she started dating that football player, and I don't know a lot about sports, but apparently he does or used to play for the New York Jets. So the theory is that she started dating him to muddy the waters. When you Google Taylor Swift jet, first thing that's going to pop up and everything that's going to pop up is her dating this football player. I forget the name it's called, but it's smart as fuck, because it tricks the search engines to looking that up instead of how many times she's flying her personal jet, how much pollution is she putting out. But yeah, Just Stop Oil fucked up her jet, which is hilarious. I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a 40-minute episode. We covered a lot. I'm sorry the intro was so long. I just wanted to, like I said, if you don't have the patience or the attention span to chill out and listen to a podcast, I don't know what to tell you. Because if you stopped listening because of the long intro of just my personal life and shit, then you missed out on some truth bombs. I think we went super fucking deep down the rabbit hole today. This is one episode that I'm very proud of. Not that I enjoy every episode that I put out. I wouldn't put it out if I didn't like it. But some episodes I feel like I went deeper than other episodes, and I think we went deep today, ladies and gentlemen. Hit me up in the comments. I keep telling people hit me up in the comments. No one does. I'm not mad. I'm just saying, I ask questions throughout of, do you guys know anything about this? Point me in some directions. Give me something to research. Do you guys know anything? Let me know. I want to know so I can better inform other people who don't know. And I would like to educate myself. So please like, share, and subscribe. And hope you all have a good day. Thanks for tuning in.